Speaking of assholes, we got to talk about these assholes that you brought into
Hey, what a segue.
Of course, they're not. We love Scott Hall and Kevin Nash here on the show, and they're both officially signed and confirmed now for November 7th, Victory Road. And Scott Hall shows up on the October 22nd show. And Dave would write that he looked old and in bad shape, not like drugs or alcohol, but like maybe not physically fit. So he's wearing a loose fitting Hawaiian shirt. And the following week, on the 29th, we would see a pre taped interview with Kevin Nash that he filmed as a part of his taping and at the Longest Yard filming shoot. When you finally get this thing done, we've landed it, they're on paper. We got a taped interview for one, the other's here in person. Maybe he's not wearing his old Razor gear and he's in a Hawaiian shirt, but we got him. Did you feel like this is what we needed? This is the shot in the arm for the pay-per-view? Or did it feel like a bigger opportunity than just this pay-per-view push in a few months after?
Well, and I'm glad you kind of, both of them gray-headed. My old man pulled me aside. And I don't know if it was specific. It had to have been. Scott and my father had I don't say unique. They had a tight relationship. They cared for each other. They talked off and on, every year, all the time. They had a cool, unique relationship. Scott was dealing with his sobriety issues, and he was doing well at this time, but he had quite a bit of gray hair. Kevin coming off the movie shoot. My old man, like a lot of that generation's promoters, just had the kind of mindset of, man, you may not be able to go back and recreate the magic, but like, gosh, the story I was going to tell. Fargo, Jackie Fargo would, come in from time to time after he was long gone from full time. But I've heard my old man on the phone, Jackie, you're going to look right when you come in here. And that was, how's your hair going to look? You're going to have a tan. And Jackie drew money until he passed away. But he always kind of, when he came in, he had the look of the fabulous Jackie Fargo. And my dad pulled me aside and says, hey, man, is there anything? And I'm like, Kevin's in the movies. And because physically, it kind of alluded to, they didn't look too good. At least Scott, he looked fine. He just was at that stage of his career. Mentally, he was done physically wrestling. He just was not interested in doing it. But having their name attached, and I wanted to get them around the product and try to engage them where, for lack of a better word, they would get back in the game. As opposed to coming helping a buddy out, hey, let's get engaged in the product. It slowly happened. And there were different stories with each guy. But, Kev eventually really got engaged, and we'll get into that as the episode goes along. But, yeah, that was the mindset. I wanted them to taste. They wanted to come in. They wanted to taste a little bit of what we were about. And then try to grow it into a bigger relationship.
Let's talk about Victory Road. It's written in the Observer that your match with Jeff Hardy was Jeff Hardy's best match in years. And that the finish of Scott Hall and Kevin Nash's match made sure that everyone knew they did not take the match seriously at all. And it's written, Nash delivered this terrible promo where there was a lame beatdown where three heels beat up and laid out five baby faces, showing nobody has learned anything in 5 years, as they made their own tag champs and top full-time babyface, AJ Styles, look totally impotent as they were all overpowered in seconds, even though it was the heels who had the odds stacked against them. It was one thing to get the heat on Hardy and maybe even Styles, but it looked so bad with Styles since they're in the next month's main event. But 3OK being laid out just gave the long-term audience the idea that the top guys we've been watching are really minor leaguers, and they're not even worth being in the ring with real stars. And the show ended with a mystery man getting out of a limo, and Randy Savage appeared and told fans he'd be on TV this coming Friday. Okay, so listen, we get to look back at this now with the benefit of hindsight. And with the benefit of hindsight, would you have done the same creative or would you have tweaked it?
that's playing armchair quarterback. Maybe not exactly the same, but to me, this goes into probably a much deeper philosophical question in that long-term storytelling does not exist without heat, leaving the baby faces down. And for the most part, whether it's Keller or Meltzer or writers, um, critics, leaving a scenario where we'll call it three guys uh, beat up five guys on paper sounds bad, doesn't read well. But in reality, if you kind of stair step it up and roll it down from an episodics nature, and the heels are using weapons or cheap shots or however it may be, when you watch it, you go, oh, okay, this makes sense. When you read it, you go, what? Hall and Nash and JArrett beat up Three Live Crew, AJ, blah, blah, blah. It just doesn't sit well. So, in a lot of ways, Conrad, I think in today's fast paced world, the art of babyface selling for the long term sometimes gets lost. And that to me is, gosh, there's so many old sayings you could say. If you don't build the dragon slayers have nothing to slay. I know that sounds so old school and antiquated, but
No, Kevin Sullivan said the exact same thing about Cody Rhodes, that he had to lose to Roman because he had to go slay some dragons. Like Cody had not overcame enough, he had not achieved enough, and we both agreed that Cody should have won this year, and he did. But as in regards to last year, he thought they nailed it because it would have been too soon for Cody. We needed him to earn it as fans, and you use the same phrase that he did, Dragon Slayers. So let's talk about something else that was in the torch, because I've always found this fascinating. Now, this is BS Jeff Jarrett, before sobriety Jeff Jarrett. And I've heard that after the shows, once upon a time, there might be several cases of beer in Jeff Jarrett's room. And it might not be a regular room, it might be a hotel suite, so we can fellowship. And we might even call it Club Jarrett. And that it would be a big party that would go for hours and hours and hours, with guys just laughing and carrying on and rebooking the territory and telling tall tales. And Kevin Nash is knee deep with you after this pay-per-view debut at Victory Road. Now, Scott Hall's not there. He's clean and sober, and he's back with his ex Dana at the time, and she's not going to put up with his partying, so he's being a good boy. But you and Kevin are holding court. And allegedly, Kevin says something in there that gets repeated to the newsletters. Scott Hall and I are here to stick it up Vince's ass. And yes, me and Scott and Kevin and Jeff are going to make a bunch of money, but there'll be plenty of left over for everybody else. Talk to me about, Club Jarrett, and then introducing all the rest of the locker room, the guys who wanted to a different side of Kevin Nash, the social, fun, jovial Kevin Nash, not necessarily the work Kevin Nash.
Oh, I don't know where to start. Look, it goes without saying, a lot of fun. We stayed right across from Universal Studios at a DoubleTree, North Tower and the South Tower. Go up to the 17th floor, and when you get off the elevator, there would be a double room and then a huge presidential suite, executive suite that had we'll call it like a big dining room table that seated 8, and then it had 3 couches for a big TV area and then a bar area. Anyway, it was a big space, and I stayed on one side in one double room, and then the big working area, because we did, Conrad, contrary to popular belief, when we're down there 3 days at a time or 4 days at a time, that's where we would have creative meetings and postmortem. And that's how it later became called Club Jarrett, but that's how we did things in that we would finish the tapings lots of nights. I'd say, all right, everybody go get something to eat. Let's meet at 10 or 10:30 or 11. And Rudy Charles stayed in the other double room on the other side. But that's how it kind of started. That, hey, let's go back, and there's an injury, or we got a time to show, or something's off, because we're going right back to work in Orlando the following day. And so pay-per-view and 2 sets of tapings, we would go there and hang out, and we would do work and talk through things. And then it started to, and I don't know if Kevin started this, probably, but no, we would, Kevin say, hey man, I'm going to drop by. And he'd knock on the door and have a case under his arm. All right, come on in. But then other talent would come by, and we would talk shop. And, from the day I got in this business, it was always really taught to me, there's so much you can learn. You kind of got to, it's like, in any line of business, let's get in a room and talk about it. And you're going to hear different opinions and different thoughts and different reasonings why, but also you get to know one another. And look, riding forward to a car, you get to really know somebody if you're in a car with them 3 or 4 hours at a time one way, and 3 or 4 hours in a car the other way. And then you do that multiple trips, God forbid, multiple weeks. That's how you really, really form friendships, but you also learn so much. And so the professor Mike Tenay would be there, Rudy Charles, the creative process, Abyss, JB, all the different folks, we would be there. And it started out kind of as a work session. And Kevin Love, to this day, loves to talk wrestling. And again, I'm going to say you can really learn a lot for a young guy, that get in a room and start listening, but more importantly, start asking questions. And that's how, again, it later became known as Club JArrett, but in the early days it was the creative room. But lots of fun, Conrad. If we would have known each other back in that day, I don't know if I'd got any work done with you around, but we did. We did get a lot of work done, but we also had a lot of fun. A lot of fun.